on?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Okay, today is Wednesday, November 15th, 2023, and it's nice and warm out in the great state of Texas. It's at 6:32, I'll call it, and this is the Board of Directors regular meeting for Trophy Club Municipal Utility District Number 1. And we do have a quorum. We are missing Vice President Brewster and Director Hunter tonight. We do have Director Rose and Secretary Treasurer Harper and myself. This in the order. The meeting is in order now. This is an opportunity, citizens' comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the board on any matter, whether or not it is posted on the agenda. The board is not permitted to take action on or discuss any comments made to the board at this time concerning an item not listed on the agenda. The board will hear comments on specific items prior to the board addressing these items. You may speak up to 4 minutes or the time determined by the president or presiding officer. To speak during this item, you must complete the speaker's form that includes the topics or your statement, Citizens' comments should be limited to matter over which the board has authority. We have a full house tonight, so do we have any speakers, Lori?
No, sir.
Chief, do you have anything to say? Do you want to say anything? Can you say anything? Okay. Reports and updates. Agenda number 1, staff reports. A, capital improvement projects. B, operations report. And C, finance reports. Alan?
Good evening, directors. Updates for tonight. The FY 2023 waterline project is progressing well. As of today, all of the main on Skyline Drive has been installed, and they have 2 major connections over there scheduled for tomorrow. Once those are complete, they'll go ahead and start chlorinating and pressure testing the new main, and in hopes of testing next week for sampling. The Lee Court project is moving well. We've got temporary water line in place over there, and they began installing the water line that's going to run from Carnoustie over to Lee Court to provide them service. They expect to have the majority of that completed by this week as well, in hopes of pressure testing and sampling Lee Court as well. The original goal was to have everybody off of temporary water line service before Thanksgiving. So I think that we may have Skyline, but we're still not sure about Lee Court. That project, they requested about 24 extra days on the project, and that was granted, so it'll be closer to December before final completion is done, but we will be substantially complete by the end of this month. Pump station improvement project is slow rolling. We're still getting submittals in, and contractor has ordering equipment and materials once they've been approved. Lift station generators. So we had some good movement this month. We actually saw 4 generators arrive this month, and they've been delivered, set in place. New main disconnects have been installed at 6 of the locations, and the remaining generators are scheduled for delivery in December 23. So once those generators show up, the majority of their electrical will hopefully be done and completed. So there's a good chance that we could finalize this project by the end of the year, but I see that it's probably still going to go into January, February. The FY 24 project is in design, as well as the wastewater treatment plant CIP tank improvement project. As far as operations reports, the wastewater side, this month they started working on manhole inspections in Basin 8, which is up around the pit area. As of Saturday, they completed all the manhole inspections in those areas and began smoke testing Monday. They've already found some significant leaks, I think. So they're still working through that. But they anticipate finalizing the smoke testing this week. Once they get that done, then they'll start any kind of CCTV and cleaning efforts. So probably by January, we'll have a final report that we can start review and determining what kind of point repairs we'll need for budgeting into next year. Now, we have a list of roughly 20 29 point repairs that came out of this last year's report. We've also got a few areas that are potentially going to be pipe bursted or relined. I'm working with a vendor right now, a buy-board vendor I've worked with before. He's working on providing us quotes and proposals, and I hope that we can get that wrapped up and maybe bring that back for approval during the December meeting. Other than that, everything has been rolling as necessary, and we're progressing well and nice routine. So do you all have any other questions for me?
On the South Lake emergency connection?
Yes.
Why is it taking so long?
Well, so originally South Lake was open to the possibility of that interconnect, but once the hydraulics were looked at and what it could potentially do to certain sections or portions of their system, they wanted to make sure that they weren't going to be stressing certain portions of their system. So they're going through a modeling effort right now. Typically, that's a 9 to 12 month process, depending on how thorough and what exactly they're looking at. So we expect that to be done and receive some sort of draft report in April or May. Once we get that, we should know whether or not hydraulically it will make sense for them and not put some sort of burden on their system as well. I don't foresee that, but they have to make sure that they take necessary precautions.
The next question, in wastewater treated for October of 23, what was the reason for the spike? Because
Rain. So when we had that 6-inch rain,
right,
based off of my quick back of the napkin math, the majority of it is coming from swimming pool overflows. So years ago, TCEQ required swimming pools to be pumped into
Right.
sanitary sewer system.
right,
And when I go through there and do an average square footage of swimming pools, it appears that the majority of it is coming. Basically, an inch of rain is equal to about 100,000 gallons extra of flow during a rainfall event, a peak rainfall event.
so November should be peaking too then, right?
Not necessarily. It all depends on how fast it comes in. So the reason we saw so much is because we got 6 inches within one day.
Right.
We had such a high amount. Everything is just literally overflowing into the system.
I think that one report said there was 11 and a half inches of rain, because when I looked at it,
That's what I heard,
I
too.
went across and went, well, yep, there it is.
I think it was 2
1
days.
An extra million gallons of wastewater. I'm going, that kind of validates a theory I've been carrying around in my hip pocket for a couple of weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting. It'd be good to be able to validate that, because that just answers a bunch of questions.
Well, it does, and fortunately, we can see through some of our lift stations where our peak flows are coming, and one of them was Basin 8. So we actually had our contractor, hey, go make sure you pay attention to the creek areas, low-lying areas. When he's saying that he's found a lot of leaks, that makes me think that there's a lot of broken caps and such that are out there. So the more 4-inch caps you have that are broken and open, the more surface water is going to flow in, and it'll add and contribute to those.
Yeah.
Is it possible to just put like a footnote in that table, how much rain we had during the month or something?
We'll have to look at it and see.
Before that one on the water billed, water pumped, I don't think we got the October's data in there, but that's okay. I just noticed that it hadn't come down.
Oh, yeah.
Which
So
one?
on the first month, every month, you will see the graph up there once we put November's number in. Right now, it's just a dot on there that.
Is that October's dot?
Yeah.
Yes. Because it doesn't have anywhere to transition to from whatever we put in there.
Yeah,
in
next month you'll see
October.
it.
Oh,
See it
I
next month.
gotcha. I gotcha.
If that makes sense.
No, but that's okay. I think I've been told this last year.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute, I've heard this before.
Well, I mean, total year in October, I mean, that's a big number, but so far,
Yeah.
it's the biggest
it
we
is.
ever did, right?
That's correct. It's
Oh,
a big
way up
number.
there.
It's pretty dry.
Yeah,
That number's way up there. We're talking, yeah,
so, okay.
50 million gallons.
Okay, I'll, open it up for a motion for the consent agenda unless someone wants to pull one off. we haven't even got there yet.
We haven't
My
gotten there
bad.
yet, but
I'm jumping the gun. Okay, or is it time to adjourn yet?
we can
Okay. You're supposed to slap me, man. When I
keep moving. We can do this in less than an hour.
Yeah, okay. So, let's see. Consent agenda. All matters listed as consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Directors and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be a separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. So we have agenda item 2, consider an act to approve the consent agenda. A, October 25th, 2023, regular meeting minutes. Were there any changes, Lori, on those?
No.
Okay. And my next question is, Bill, I know you probably have a change or something.
No, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion by Director Rose.
Second.
I have a second by Secretary Treasurer Harper. And we will vote for it. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay. Moving to regular session, Agenda 3, consider an act to approve purchase and replacement of a vehicle as part of our vehicle replacement program utilizing by board contract number 601-19 in an amount of $37,791 and authorize the general manager to execute the necessary documents to complete the vehicle purchase. What truck are we replacing on this one?
This is a 2018 Chevrolet for the wastewater department.
Is it a,
Half-ton?
and you replace it with a Ram or something?
Another half-ton pickup, yes. This is we're actually replacing a regular cab with a quad cab. Gives them a little bit more room to store stuff inside.
Okay, but it's a Ram truck, right?
Dodge Ram, yes.
Yes,
It's still a
okay.
half-ton.
Another one is a Chevy.
That's correct.
Okay. And then what happened to the 350? Have we got that truck yet?
Not yet.
And
Still
what's
waiting
the-
for delivery.
And when's that expected?
Last we heard, it was supposed to be delivered in November. We still haven't seen it. So hopefully it'll be delivered to the dealership in maybe December. And then it goes to the upfitter to get the beds and light put on.
And that one's going to who?
Wastewater.
Wastewater. So we have water and wastewater, and the last one we sold was the wastewater or water?
Water.
Water, okay. Okay, so we have an agenda on the table to buy a new truck for the water, is that correct?
Wastewater.
Wastewater, okay. And it's $37,791. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the purchase and replacement of a vehicle utilizing by board contract number 601-19 in an amount of an amount not to exceed $37,791 and authorize the general manager to execute the necessary documents.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
That's what you're going to be doing all night, you know?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have a second by Secretary Treasurer Harper. Any discussion? I see none. All in favor, show of hands. Unanimous.
Keep pedaling.
Excuse me?
Keep pedaling.
Yeah, really. Okay, agenda item number 4. Consider an act to adopt order number 2023-1-1115, A as in Apple, declaring the following operations, vehicle to be surplus, property of the district, and authorize staff to sell such property. It's a 2008 Chevy pickup. And this is going to be on the, was a bid something, low bid?
Lone Star Auctions.
Yeah, Lone Star Auction.
That's correct.
That's right, okay.
We won't auction it until the new one arrives.
And when is that again?
Probably a few weeks.
Okay, so by next month.
Probably so.
Okay, does everyone understand that we're putting a truck to surplus for auction, right? Okay,
And it's got over 100,000 miles on it.
103,700 when we did this report, so it has a few more miles on it than that now, yes.
we need to get accurate miles next time, okay? Okay, open it up for a motion.
I move to approve order number 2023-1115 Alpha.
And that's to deem it surplus and out for auction when the new truck arrives, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Director Rose, a second by Secretary Treasurer Harper. Any additional questions? I see none. All in favor, show of hands. Unanimous. Okay. Item 5, consider an act to approve purchase and replacement of submersible pumps at lift station number 3 and authorize the general manager to execute the necessary documents. Alan or Mike?
Yeah, I can take it. So the lift station pump number 3, both of those pumps have met their useful life. During last year's PM processes, we identified these as 2 that needed to be replaced, and they were added in as part of the maintenance and repair line item budget for collections. Typically, you get anywhere from what staff has seen, 5 to 8 years out of one of these pumps. And this will include the new replacement pumps themselves, the associated guide rails, and electrical and installation as well.
And this is being purchased from Smith Pump Company, correct?
Correct.
On by board number 672-22, not to exceed $44,650. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, if we could put that in the motion, I'd appreciate it. Do I have a motion?
I've got it all written out here.
Perfect.
I move to approve the purchase and replacement of the submersible pumps at lift station number 3 utilizing Smith Pump Company Incorporated under the buy board contract number 672-22 in an amount not to exceed $44,650 and authorize the general manager to execute the necessary documents. If the secretary would like a copy of my motion, I'll forward it to you after the meeting. Got it, okay?
Okay. I have a motion by Director Rose. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
How did I know that? Okay. We have a second by Secretary Treasurer Harper. Any discussion on this?
I have a question about that.
Okay, sure.
Is a crane at that site?
No, not currently.
Okay.
So we budgeted money for lift station improvements in this year's fiscal year capital improvement projects list. Right now, I'm working with our engineer to work on some design sheets that are going to include installation of bypasses to be installed at 3 sites, positioning of lift station cranes at 8 sites, and some hatch improvements. Once I get those design sheets done and taken care of, we're going to probably start working on obtaining quotes for certain pieces of it. But that'll be, I would say, April before we're ready to start acquiring those. But the end result of our lift station improvements on the CIP list is to get a jib crane at every single site. Correct.
Okay.
I do have one general comment, and it is a general comment. I understand the need to replace both of those pumps. I have a more comfortable feeling in an operation where I have an older pump and a newer pump operating together, if it makes any, I mean, unless we've got output issues or something like that. I just like, but anyway, we are where we are.
Correct, and we still have replacement pumps sitting on the shelves. But
Okay.
typically, so what we've kind of done this year is been working with staff to come up with the ages and the life cycles of every single pump. And what I'm trying to do is also flatten the amount of dollar amounts that we're spending on replacement pumps annually.
Okay?
So if we know that it's a 5 to 8 year lifespan, we're going to budget for maybe the 2 larger pumps along with maybe 2 smaller pumps every year over a 5-year period, 6-year period. We're going to try to now come up with a replacement plan to flatten our budget out.
Outstanding.
It's like a internal GASB,
Yeah.
but it's not a GASB reserve. Does that make
Okay.
sense? We have a
No,
whole
it-
other spreadsheet
it-
for that.
It's managing your known failures.
The other thing too is that we have roughly 80, I believe it was 80 or 90 different pieces of equipment that are similar in nature at the wastewater plant that we're working through a spreadsheet now too. So every single year, we're going to try to identify what's most probable to fail and start getting ahead of those instead of sitting around waiting until their failure. We're also implementing some other preventive maintenance programs this year as well at the treatment plant.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yes.
Is this one of the lift stations that the generator's been set?
It is going to be set as part of this current project. The mobile generator that we have already, we're reutilizing or repurposing that generator and setting it at lift station number 3 permanently.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Any additional questions?
No, sir.
Okay, all in favor, show of hands. Okay. Okay, we're on number 6. Consider an act regarding approval of employee health and ancillary, that's tongue twister.
Ancillary,
Ancillary.
Ancillary. I
as
can't.
opposed to the AUX.
Benefits, did you lip sync on that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Okay, benefits for the calendar year beginning January 1st, 2024, and ending December 31st, 2024, and authorize general manager to execute the necessary documents to implement the board. My personal feelings are, I think, and we have time to table this for the next meeting, is that correct?
No, we have to make a decision.
Tonight?
Yes, that's typically November. We bring this to the board for consideration and approval, so we can get the information back to the brokers in December and get all the documentation signed prior to January.
So we can have a meeting in December to, do
If you
that?
wanted to call another meeting and table this to another meeting time, we could definitely do so, but this is the recommendation. Is there a specific issue you'd like to discuss?
Well, number one, Ben isn't here, and when I spoke to him, that was one of the things he wanted to ask some questions on. We also have another subject that we could roll into that meeting, and I'll bring that up later. But, I just got the information today, and I'd like to see what the town and other water people, the ones that do have water workers, or if you just get water workers or from other towns, what their health benefits are.
Well, this is based off of the prior year's direction from the board.
I know what it's based off of prior years, but I'd like to do a comparison of,
So if that's something that you'd like to address when we go through and do if you'd like for us, we can look at this next year doing a compensation and benefit study. If you would like to do that, we can have someone take a look
no,
at that.
it doesn't take a phone call. You don't have to do a whole big study, just call a couple towns, surrounding towns, and see if they'll tell you what benefits they offer, or you can just look at the job sites. If they're hiring people, they'll tell you what benefits are.
Most often, they're fairly vague. We'd have to call and get open records requests. It takes a little bit more time than that to acquire that information. So
Just see what you can do, and I'd prefer to at least have Ben involved in it, and give him a chance to voice his questions.
So the time is of the essence on this, so it would have to happen fairly quickly.
That's fine, after Thanksgiving or something, first part.
I don't think that we have that much time. My understanding is that we have to get this approved and sent to them in early December.
See when they need it by, and then we'll work the dates out and stuff, okay?
Okay.
But it doesn't go in effect until January.
I,
I realize they have to get it and do their work, but I asked back in the budget season to get numbers, and I was told, well, they'll give it to us in the next month or so. And
We only had them for.
We just received them.
Don't get them to the end of November.
So typically, they'll
it
give
doesn't
us,
make any sense but it is what it is, but I'm just letting you know what Ben passed on.
Okay.
And he'd like to, ask some questions on it.
Sure.
And what will your action be? Okay, so I was prepared to take action tonight. But obviously, it takes 3 votes to pass something. And so clearly, action can't be taken based on what you've put forth. As far as going out and doing a study of any significance, I don't see that there's time available to do that. And I don't know. I fail to develop an appreciation for the delay.
Well, again, how can you do a study if we don't have the numbers until November? What are you going to do a study
I
or
don't-
comparison against?
Well, that's basically, I understand what you're asking for.
Well, do whatever you
Or
can
survey.
get. I mean, you can't do a big blown-out study like we do on a salary or something like that, but we're able to do salary studies, and it doesn't take that long, but it doesn't take, I'm going to pick up a phone and call a couple towns that I know, and I'll see what they say, but I understand what Vice President Brewster's asking for, and, you want to do a big study next year, but you don't know what numbers you're looking at.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. What are you going to do next month? If we wait till next month to do this, if Vice President Brewster is still missing?
Well,
We've
I'm going to try and
got-
get information the rest of this week. I'll get my information, and then Alan can set up a meeting. We don't have till next meeting, according to Alan. We have to do it sometime, pretty close to the end of this month, or, hopefully the first week in December. But I'm going to, in fact, I will make a motion that we table this item. And, do I have a second?
Typically, when there's a discussion or the desire to change or review the policy itself for health benefits and coverage, that would have been discussed during the budget process. So if there's a issue with the amount of deductible or coverage or whatever that may be, we could have addressed that during the budget
Oh,
process.
I brought it up to Stephen, and he said, well, we really don't know until November or sometime. He said a couple months.
What you request is information that we don't get firm numbers until November.
Right, so how are you going to do a study, as you mentioned earlier, next year or the year after?
I think that if I understand what you're looking for is a comparable study. What are other entities providing to their employees as far as deductibles, health care coverages, how much are they covering for expenses, that type of thing, if I understand you correctly.
Well, from what my discussion with Ben, and it was very quickly, he said he wasn't going to be here, and I said, we have a health and employee benefits package up, and he preferred to have it tabled. And the questions he brought up are valid, so.
Understood. And again, this was not brought up or discussed during the budget time as far as these comparables. This is renewing our existing plan, and overall for the year, we'll save roughly $8,600 for the year.
Last year, we had 16 employees, too.
And I'll show you what the average cost per employee is. That's something you look for last year, and last year was $16,600 roughly per employee on an average, and this year will be $14,500
Yeah.
per average per employee.
Those are good points, but again, if we could get what other benefits at other towns or something, that's what, I heard, and, they're valid questions.
And that's still not going to change the rates that we're going to get, that we have to make a decision on. The broker did go out and acquire quotes from Aetna, United Healthcare, but my understanding was Aetna didn't have any comparable plans to these. And United Healthcare came in at roughly a 3% reduction in rate, but staying with Blue Cross Blue Shield was a 3.32% reduction in rate. So it made sense to just remain with the
We
current.
had a couple that refused to bid.
There were a couple that refused.
Because of our size and because we're a water
I don't
district.
recall which one. May have been Cigna and TML, I think.
Yeah, TMO won't take us.
Correct.
Okay,
Did see a small 5% increase in dental.
Well, right now, I would recommend that you check with the person that's doing the bids and see what the latest date that they can have an answer, and then schedule a meeting and see if Ben is available for that meeting, because I'm flexible. So, I made a motion to table it. I don't know if there's a second, and we'll take a vote. And
Yeah, I'll second that as well.
okay, I have a motion by Secretary Treasurer Harper to table the item until the latest date possible, that we can have a meeting with Vice President Brewster, hopefully in attendance. If he doesn't, then we'll just take the information that we have at hand and make a decision at that time. Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, show of hands. Okay, it's myself, Director, Secretary Treasurer Harper, all opposed, Director Rose. So, Emily,
Yes, sir.
the MUDs do not need 3 votes, is that correct? A quorum, in what we have, a quorum, if you get,
You need 3 you need 3 votes. That
we need
vote
3
is-
votes?
So it didn't get tabled.
The president doesn't have the opportunity to just table an item.
Well, you made a motion.
And it's 2-1. It's 2-1.
Right, and you have to have 3 votes for the motion.
Okay, so we need to vote on the agenda, and if we vote, it's going to be, well, I don't know how it's going to go. So, but if it fails, then that agenda fails.
That's right.
That's right. So right now you voted, you voted to table it, and that did not pass because you need 3.
Right?
So,
So if we vote and the vote stays the same, then it wouldn't pass and that agenda would fail.
correct. And so and if that's the case, then that agenda item fails, and then you would need to go, then I guess you have to bring it back at another time if you want to have health insurance for your employees.
We don't have to wait 30 days to bring it back.
No, we have to bring it to a special called session, special meeting.
That's 72 hours.
So we don't, what's being said is we don't have to wait till the next meeting. We can have a special session to bring it back again, correct?
Yes, you would have to have a special meeting if the timing is I know this from my own, just so everyone knows from my own office, that the brokers don't give you the bids until right before they need the information because they want it exactly at that time. So you're never going to get it at the time you do the budget. That's
Oh,
true of my own.
yeah, I know that, but
That they're going to want your information and everything really quickly, and so you're going to need to call a special session as soon as you can to get it done, because otherwise
We have to hold open enrollment for our own employees to review the information and decide.
yeah, I understand.
It's stacked against y'all. The insurance companies stack it against you, so.
Yeah, well, the question that was brought to me is that how can you do a comparison that we're on the same playing field as other towns in comparison as far as if you're trying to hire someone, if we're given the same benefits. So, anyway, okay, so we have to make a motion to approve or not approve, or,
No, because it fails.
So
There's
it's a
not
no.
3 people to pass it.
right.
And you and Director Harper said
was-
4.
But I made a
That
motion
was
to
to
table.
Table.
So you can make a
Table
motion,
I'll make a motion.
someone can make a motion, then you take a vote, and then you determine
Yeah.
what happens next.
And if it fails, it moves on to another.
Correct.
Rather than table to the next
Correct.
meeting.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay, go ahead and make a motion.
I have a motion. I move to approve the continuation of employee medical benefits with Blue Cross Blue Shield and employee ancillary benefits with MetLife for the calendar year beginning January the 1st, 2024, and ending December 31st, 2024, and also authorize the general manager to execute the necessary documents.
Okay, question, Emily, again. If there's not a second to his motion, it fails.
Correct.
That'd be true, too.
Excuse me? It fails and we're back in the same boat. It's like a no vote, right?
I think that, yes, correct.
Okay. Do I have a second? There's no second, so it fails. That screwed up my whole timeline tonight, I was going good and stuff. Okay, so 6, you understand what needs to be done, or attempted to be done, I should say?
And I'll see if I can see if we can, we'll discuss that at the last agenda item.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, moving on. Agenda 7, consider and take possible action on proposed class action settlement in is aqueous, is that the film forming foams products liability litigation. That's too many words.
Understood.
And there's a spelling error on the, it should be opt out, not opt-R, I think it says. I have to pull it up at the top of it, and that should make a difference, right? Look at the top, look at the name on the,
You talking about the resolution itself? Yeah, I see what you're saying. It says resolution to opt out. Yes, there is
Yeah,
a
it says
spelling error.
to opt R
Yeah.
of aqueous, so,
We'll
we-
get that fixed.
We can modify that.
yeah. Okay. Okay, so everyone understand it's opt out at the resolution?
So generally, just to give you all a little overview of this kind of came across our laps fairly recent. There are a few, there's some EPA rules under regulated contaminant monitoring regulations that have required EPA to start reviewing some sampling criteria. And certain public water systems already have to do monitoring testing for PFAS. Fort Worth has identified and let everyone know, as far as their wholesale customers go, that there are two class action liability cases pending. And as part of that, those two cases, it includes all public water systems in the United States. So long story short, Fort Worth is opting out because there are a lot of unknowns right now, and essentially what this would do is write off the liability of 75% of the companies that are creating these PFAS or manufacture PFAS in the United States. So there was a meeting today talking about that as their decision, and we tend to agree with that. They will also be bearing the majority of the cost for improvements to their facilities, because currently Lake Worth has PFAS within their drinking water coming out of Lake Worth, not Eagle Mountain, which is where we get our water from. So with the levels that they're seeing, they're going to have basically 3 years to make improvements to correct those issues. They informed us today that while they're making those improvements, Eagle Mountain Lake is going to be increased for capacity purposes, and at the same time, they're going to go ahead and make modifications to address PFAS within that system as well. So right now, they're looking at over $100 million worth of improvements alone to correct these types of things. So what this will do is essentially opt us out of this. That way, if things come further down the road or different requirements come into play, we're not bound by this one-time payout and they're basically off the hook. Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at today, and it does require you all to approve this so we can provide this opt-out documentation to them before December 4th.
What's the acronym? PFAS?
Polyfluoroalkyl.
Yeah.
What's the S?
Let's see here. Hang on. Substances, that's it. Polyfluoroalkyl substances.
A new toothpaste or something?
It's actually in a lot of different things, all the way from, that's been found in waste sites, soil, fire extinguishing foam, chrome plating, electronics, certain paper products, water repellent, stain repellent, nonstick products, paint sealants, grease-resistant paper, fertilizers from wastewater treatment plants, pizza boxes, candy wrappers.
Whoa, pizza boxes?
It's been manufactured since the 1940s.
And these two cities decided to file.
Class action lawsuit, yes.
Anyone else other than just those two cities that you know?
Not that I'm aware of, not at this time. It includes all public water systems, though, and again, they're looking for a one-time payout to try to be done, I think. Emily, does that kind of?
Yeah, they went and named a class, and that class action lawsuits, they named a class, and that they included all public water supply systems. And so you get in the class whether or not you wanted to be in it or not. And so most of the time you opt into the class. This one's a little odd that you have to opt out. If you don't opt out, you opt in. And if you opt in, then you're subject to the requirements of the settlement the settlement document. And the settlement document has a broad release of liability for 3M and DuPont. And you don't even know yet if you have PFAS in your water. And so it releases them forever. And so if you go opt in and you find out that you don't have any PFAS when you go measure or test your water today, but you get PFAS in your water system in 5 years, you have no claim against 3M or DuPont, who are the biggest suppliers of or makers of PFAS. So
But, yeah, what Alan
it's a
said,
huge unknown. And I would also add that the amount of the settlement, from what I understand and what I've been reading, is people consider it pretty low. That they're offering up about $13 billion, but considering that's for all water systems across all of the United States,
that's
they think
crazy.
that should be in the,
Billion.
hundreds of billions.
Yeah,
And so you're gonna be left holding the bag. And considering also that you have 4 wells that you don't get water from, that you get water from, if you found PFAS in your groundwater wells, I think you're just gonna cap those things because it's gonna be too expensive for you to do anything, so you're not gonna get any benefit from the settlement anyway.
no, we're gonna be on the other side of it.
Right, so.
What neutralize this, or how do you get rid of it?
Basically, it's another form of treatment process. You've got ion exchange, which is a temporary setup that Fort Worth's looking about installing. Activated carbon is probably a long-term fix, but he said right now if they were to make an order for what they needed, they're out 12 months before they can even get the amount that they need. You've also got,
Next question is, what's TCQ? What are they weighing in on?
say again?
TCQ.
Well, TCEQ, this is an EPA regulation, so TCEQ is only enforcing what EPA sets down. Right now, there's still a lot of unknown. This is unregulated.
Okay.
And they haven't even finalized the rules. I mean, EPA has said that PFAS is now, a regulated substance, but they haven't set rules in place. And so there's so many unknowns at this point. And then they put this really tight deadline to decide if you're going to opt in or opt out.
But it's in pizza boxes.
And candy wrappers, pizza boxes, I mean, if you're wearing it, probably.
Yeah. Or eating it. You could be eating
Eating
pizza.
it, yes.
Yeah,
If
sometimes
you
that
ever
cardboard
scraped
gets
off-
stuck to the bottom of the
Never-
pizza.
Right, have you ever scraped off a little of that stuff on your pan that you're cooking in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. In the agenda, it doesn't have the number. The resolution number is 2023-1115A. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then the spelling correction of the resolution is read Trophy Club Municipal Utility District Number 1, resolution to opt out of our aqueous film forming foams product liability litigation, blah, blah, blah. Right? Yeah, okay. Everyone understand that? I know Mr. Rose has it already noted, right?
No,
You don't?
no, somehow I must have gotten an earlier packet, and I don't have that in my packet.
Okay.
Oh, that resolution came,
The resolution was
What's the
sent to
resolution number
you
again?
separately.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so everybody understands what it is though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, get back here. Okay, so the agenda item, just to refresh, was consider and take possible action on proposed class action settlement in the aqueous film forming foams product liability litigation. I make a motion that we approve, and I guess we direct the general manager. Is that correct?
Approve resolution number 2023-1115A, resolution to opt out of aqueous film forming foams products liability litigation.
As stated by the general manager. That's what we're going to vote on. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's my motion. I'll look for a second. We have a second by Director Rose. And any other questions on this? Just don't eat your pizza box. Okay. All in
I
favor?
gave him a hand signal for the second. I did second it. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
The tape.
All in favor, show of hands. Okay, unanimous. Okay. We're going to agenda item 8, items for future agendas. We already mentioned the one we need to get a special meeting for. Do you have any questions on that, Alan?
Actually, while we're looking at the calendars, if you don't mind, can we look at potential dates? I would recommend Monday, November 27th.
I will be out of town.
So will I, probably.
The entire week.
Yes.
So, okay,
How about the 4th?
well, I may need to get these, let me find out
Okay,
when we have to get these signed and sent over to the broker. Like I said, typically we get them approved in November because the first week in December, we have an open enrollment with staff that allows them about 2 weeks to get everything filled out, completed, and returned so we can get it signed and back to the broker. They typically like around 2 weeks before January 1. So
okay. You find out
I
the
have, I have
information.
I have a question here. If information comes in and the majority board decides that the current proposal is adverse, we go back to the contractor and say, we don't like this, we want to do X, Y, and Z. Is that a possible turn?
I think we're running out of time. We won't have benefits.
I got it. Thank you.
Okay. So, and then we have another subject of a resignation by Director Hunter. Is that correct, Al?
That's correct.
Okay. So we need to put that on the agenda, and I don't know if it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Emily, I know we have to accept her resignation, but can we?
Yeah, you do have to accept her resignation, but after 8 days, when she provided it in writing, and after 8 days, she is deemed to have been resigned. But just to be clean, it'd be best if you put it on as an agenda item to accept her resignation.
Well, I was just going to ask you the question, do we have to wait? You just mentioned 8 days, but we can post it on our webpage or something for applicants.
Not until you all accept that resignation formally.
She just said that.
By law, it becomes effective 8 days, but the board still has to accept that resignation in public forum.
We'd have to agenda it. What I'd suggest is if we're going to have a special meeting for this particular, for the health issue, that we also in that same special meeting
Yeah.
address the resignation.
Right.
If
Does
you
the-
and Director Harper are out the week of the 27th, that creates some issues for us.
Well, we need to
Are you
look-
both out the entire week of the
we have a
27th?
If we have a special meeting, make sure that's on the agenda too,
We will.
okay? And Emily, is that true that we cannot post for applicants until we accept it? Because you said after 8 days,
No, I think you can announce that, she's said she's resigned. So I would wait the 8 days before I did that,
right, okay,
or until you've had board action. Like if you have a special meeting, let's say you have a special meeting next Monday, and you post this, I don't know if you can have a special meeting next Monday, but anyway, you post a special meeting next Monday and you accept a resignation, you can post it then. Or you wait the 8 days, after the 8 days, then you can post it.
okay. We're going to have a special meeting sometime.
Are you available next Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday?
I'm leaving Monday.
And you're gone the week of the 27th as well?
I'm gone through, I get back on the following, I'll be available the following Tuesday, so what
Can
day
you-
is that?
That'll be the
Can you
28th.
call in?
28th? Possibly,
Okay, can you call in?
yes.
Are you going to be out?
Well, that would only be 2 people. But if one of them call in, we can have
We can post to where you all may attend via remote, we can always put that agenda item or that caption on the agenda item as well. Are you going to be available? If you say the 28th is when you're back, are you going to be out the 28th?
No, I'm planning on being gone that whole week.
You can
Let me
possibly
say,
call.
I could call it, I'll be in Florida.
Would you be available to attend via remote?
Florida has internet.
Yes.
But if there's any issues, then we wouldn't even have a quorum.
Correct.
If one of them can't call in. Yeah.
And then it would take a majority to give direction.
But
one
you'll
way or-
be here the 28th?
It's a plan.
Can't do it sooner? We can't do it sooner?
21st or 22nd?
You'd have to do it during the weekend. I mean, you take 72 hours to notify, and so you
can-
turn around, and in 72 hours, we're not going to have any, I don't think you're going to have any additional information that's actionable.
Okay.
Information from insurance.
My trip is tentative, so
So
Just fine.
21st, 22nd, I mean, I don't really know what specific information to gather. Again, this is just a renewal, so I had no idea that we would even be looking at other options.
you might even find out if we delay it much longer, the price might go up too.
So these are the rates that we have right now, and there is a chance that if we don't, again, if we don't get items turned in soon enough, we're not going to have any health care for our staff.
What did well, I'm not going to discuss it anymore.
You can
Find
you can
out,
reopen the item.
find out the last date possible, and then you know the dates that they're available, and we'll just work something out. And you can call Ben and see if he's available for those. Okay.
Are you all available? I assume, from what I hear, you would be able to attend via remote if need be.
We get on the 28th. I have a funeral to attend. I don't have information on that yet.
So next week you're not available at all? Okay, so it would be the 28th at the
It would be
earliest?
touch and go.
28th at the earliest, okay. So for right now, we'll just tentatively schedule for the 28th.
Yeah. And at that same time, we can address the other topic,
Correct,
and then we'll just accept it and then post it at the same time.
correct.
Okay,
I
is
think
that
one
the
of,
only, anything else that has to go on there?
I think one of the questions regarding the vacancy would be what our options are. So
Yeah.
we can talk about that.
Well, do we have to appoint in 90 days? Is that what the code says?
I would have to, I haven't looked at that. I'd have to refresh my memory
Yeah, I
on
think
that.
that's what we had to do in the past, wasn't
Yeah.
it, Lori? Do you remember?
60, actually.
I want to say 90 days or something.
We'll have the language and we'll make sure that we know your options before the next meeting.
Sounds good.
And this is for the remaining of it, at that time, a little over 2 years, right?
26.
Yes.
May of 26.
May of 26.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Bill, you have anything else? Okay, next regular meeting date will be up in the air based on what Alan comes up with. Our next regular meeting will be December 20th, 2023.
I'm not available.
You're not available.
Nope.
Is there anything that, if he misses 2 meetings, we can throw him off, right?
Take 50% of the regular scheduled meetings. I have to make 6 of them in 12 months.
Yeah.
I'm in good shape.
Okay. Okay, so everyone, you're not available on the 20th, right?
Not available on 20th. Available the week prior. I'm out the door on the 16th, be back on Christmas.
Not in Florida that week.
You told.
We can always discuss the
could be
next
Utah.
December meeting during the 28th as well, if you would like.
Yeah. I know we're meeting, The 13th is a good day for me.
It needs to be.
Well, it all depends. There's a chance that we had a few items, but it's nothing substantive that can't wait until January if need be. Really, our number one priority now is the healthcare. And if I understand correctly, what you're requesting as part of that information is what other organizations offer, such as amounts of deductible and how much they cover per employee and family. Is that what I
Yeah.
think you're looking for?
Dental, vision, just what the, life insurance.
Okay.
Uh,
We will
what-
see what we can gather, and we'll tentatively schedule for November
I mean, the
28th.
price is the price. It's mostly it's the health insurance and what they pay and, families, and then what other programs. I don't need the price on vision and dental and all that.
Understood.
Okay, any other questions? So right now, the next scheduled meeting will be December 20th, 2023 at 6:30. That's agenda number 9. And that meeting possibly may not happen, depending on if we get everything done in the special meeting that you can set up.
Correct. We'll discuss that December meeting during the November 28th special called meeting.
Okay. Okay, we're to the point of adjourning. And we are adjourned at 7:29.